Alright guys, I hope you're all doing well. So today I kind of want to tell you guys a little bit about my journey as a trader. I've gotten a couple of requests for this too. I never really thought it was interesting to other people, but apparently it is. So I just want to kind of tell you about where I started, where I came from, and how I got into trading, what my goals are for the next few years. So I got into trading back in, I think, late 2018, maybe 2019. Basically what I used to do before trading, I was always an entrepreneur. It's been in my family too for multiple generations, and I used to own a e-commerce store. I used to own 2 e-commerce brands. I used to do pretty well actually. I was still in high school at this point and I was doing fairly well with my e-commerce stores. We probably did about 50K. I'll see if I can find a screenshot. If I can, I'll make sure to put it up here. But we did about 50K at the age of about 16. So we did fairly well. However, eventually we got to a point where I just didn't really enjoy the business model anymore. I wasn't a huge fan of, because this specifically was drop shipping. I wasn't really a huge fan of sending a customer basically AliExpress stuff. Even though I did have a supplier in Europe, I still didn't really feel good about it. I felt a little bit like I wasn't really truthful with them. I guess it's basically the way the whole world works. You know, you're always buying in cheaper to sell for a higher price. I just didn't really feel good about it. So also after a couple of complaints of customers, basically, I just decided to refund them and basically end the business because my mental health was basically deteriorating because of it. So after quitting my business, I basically worked in finance for a little bit. I worked for a company that basically did metal work, like steel factories, basically stuff like that. And I did a little bit of finance work for them. I didn't really enjoy it, but it was decent money, so I just did it for a while. In the meantime, I was looking for something online. I was always interested in investing. I was always interested in stocks. And then I found, obviously, like probably all of you, the guy selling trading signals on Instagram. Now, the guy selling trading signals on Instagram promised me I could make $2,000 every single day if I just followed his signals. I did that. I blew my account. I think we've all been there. I was fascinated by the fact that you could make money before an exchange. So you could make money on the exchange of 2 currency pairs, which did interest me. So after basically losing all of my money with this guy, I started to kind of study what the whole trading thing was about. And because I knew there were people who were profitable in it. Now, after studying it for a while, I gave it a shot. I deposited like 500 euros. From there on out, I actually did pretty well. I was trading a simple support and resistance strategy. I did fairly well. However, the issue was I didn't know anything about risk management. So I blew that account after winning for a couple of months and then getting a losing streak. I blew the account. I think we've all been there too. However, at this point, I was getting more and more intrigued by the fact that you could make money off of that. And the way that these markets move really intrigued me. I've always been a huge fan of economics. So I started studying more about the markets. Then for years on end, I basically went through the same cycle a lot of traders are going through now, which is trading, looking for a new strategy, trading, looking for a new strategy. Now at that point, I was back in college. I was studying music. Before that, I had studied international business. I dropped out because I didn't like my business teachers. And then I was studying music at that point. I love music, but I didn't really enjoy it because it took the passion out of me because I was playing guitar at 9 a.m. in the morning till 6 p.m. every single day. So it basically ruined my passion for music. In the meantime, I was really desperate on making it in trading. Being desperate in trading is never a good thing. So I started to buy these funding challenges and I started to spend as much money as I can, kind of basically flip my money as quickly as I could. It didn't work. But in the meantime, I was also working on setting up my little side hustle, which was graphic design, because I'm a pretty creative person. I'm pretty good at graphic design, and I basically taught myself how to do that. So in the meantime, I was just like working on my little side business, which was graphic design. Now, what I did is I wanted to be in the trading niche with my graphic design work because I wanted to be able to be in touch with these people. I wanted these people in my network. So I'd start messaging these traders on Instagram and I'd tell them like, hey, I'll make your free thumbnail in exchange for your knowledge about trading. Surprisingly, most of them said yes. And after working for them for free for a couple of months, they started paying me eventually, and that gradually built up too. So I was eventually doing a decent amount of money every single month with basically that as a side hustle. In the meantime, I was also growing as a trader. I was doing more research into older traders. So I was focusing less on these new gurus which were promising 20 euro a month, but I was focusing more on the old ways of trading. So for example, Larry Williams and Mark Douglas, I was reading a lot of Mark Douglas stuff back then. That's when I really kicked off, so to say. That's when I really skyrocketed because my understanding of trading became a lot more professional, I'd like to say, because at this point, I wasn't really hoping for those unrealistic returns of 10% every month on these prop firm accounts. So I started to take it a little bit more seriously. I started to look for a strategy that was consistent, that could made me a consistent 2 to 3% a month. That's really when it started to go really well for me. I also switched to swing trading at that point because swing trading just suited my lifestyle a lot better. And then once my trading grew, I started to scale down my graphic design business, eventually hiring someone to basically do all the graphic design work for me. At this point, AI, Midjourney, I don't know if you guys know it, but Midjourney started to really become a big thing. So I started using that a lot for my graphic design business. But then the more I started making trading, eventually I just quit that business altogether because I was making enough money off of trading. Once I became profitable in trading, basically the first thing I did once I started to make a little bit of good money was invest into other assets. So I'm now doing, for example, a lot of stuff with trading EAs on the side. So I've got a couple of EAs running that are making me consistently passive income. Now I'm also investing in some real estate and some other assets, basically working on as many income sources as soon as I could. Long story short, as soon as I started to make money with trading, I started to invest into other assets, into other income streams, which are now multiple income streams, which kind of brings me to where I am today. I know it may sound easy like that. It wasn't easy at all. I've had a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of crying and even breaking my keyboard and my mouse after blowing account after account, feeling like this wasn't for me and feeling like the markets were against me. It really wasn't easy. It took me years. Someone asked me recently, how did it feel when you got to that point of profitability? To be honest, to me, it just felt like I deserved it. I didn't really feel grateful or anything. I felt like I deserved it because I worked my ass off, backtesting nonstop, reading all of these books about psychology and whatnot, never giving up. I wanted to give up many times, but I never did. Something in me just told me to keep going. So I know I just made it sound really easy, but it wasn't easy at all. It took me years. And I guess that's kind of what brought me to where I am today. Now it's 7 figures in funding, currently setting up my own investment fund too with a couple of good friends of mine and with a couple of good traders. We're currently setting up an investment fund. So we're really making steps. There's still a long way to go. I've got really big goals. So basically for now, my goal is to set up a larger office. We've got a small office right now, which is about 6 people, but we really want to get like a really professional office, preferably somewhere in the Netherlands, but that's going to be a disadvantage tax-wise. So we're probably going to do it in a different country. But my goals for now are basically to set up a larger office and basically to train as many people as we can into becoming profitable traders like us so that they eventually can work for our investment fund. Hopefully we'll be able to create like a modern trading fund. I guess you could call it a prop firm without the whole evaluation thing. So not a Ponzi scheme, but like a legitimate prop firm where the traders trade on actual capital and they get paid actual profit splits, not payout fees. My goal is kind of like to be able to scale that up and eventually do like 100 million in capital management with about 50 traders. I hopefully will be able to train every single trader so that they can come work for our fund. That's kind of my goal for the next 5 to 10 years. So that's really what I'm focused on. That's really day in, day out. That's what I'm focused on. We're talking to investors every weekend almost, trying to gain as much capital as we can, building up our track record. And then in the future, I'd like to maybe dive into other businesses a little bit. I'd like to open up my, once I'm a little bit older, I'd like to open up my own ranch, just own a bunch of cows and goats and just live off the land. But that's for when I'm about 45, 50 years old. So for now, it's not relevant. It's kind of what I'm hoping for. And that's kind of my look towards the future. Yeah, so I guess that's it. That's a little bit my journey as a trader. I may have simplified it a little bit. I don't know everything off of the top of my head just like that, but that's basically the key aspects that brought me to where I am today. It wasn't easy, guys. It really wasn't easy. It took me a long time to get to where I am today. It took me a lot of work. So whenever people ask me, how do you feel now that you're a profitable trader? I deserved it. I mean, I did deserve it. I worked my ass off for years. I never went out. I could say I lost a lot of friends because of it too. I never went out because I was always reading, studying, backtesting, whatever. Not being super cringy and like shadow boxing in the field at where I am, not stuff like that. I mean, I did obviously still just relax and play video games. I still do to this day, by the way. I still play video games. But just like working a lot and trying to better myself every single day and I get to where I am. One thing that I'll give you guys, what I did, what really helped me is there's this website. I'm not sure what it's called. I think it's like futureme.org, but basically you can send a letter to your future self. So back in 2019, I sent a letter to myself in like 4 years, which was like, hey, currently I'm struggling in trading. I lost a lot of money. I'm still studying music, which I don't like. And then 4 years later, which was last year, 2023, I got that letter. And for me, I always knew about that letter, but just receiving that was such a moment of like honor and just pride, I guess. So I would advise you guys to do that. If I don't forget, I'll leave the link in the description too, but that's a really fun thing. And it's a really good motivator for you to do not let yourself down, not let your future self down. And I know 2019 me would be really, really proud of me about where I am today. And I'm fairly sure that I'll be proud of who I am in 10 years too. So yeah, with that said, with all the drama aside, that's kind of my journey as a trader. That's kind of where I came from, where I'm heading to, and what I hope to be able to achieve in the next 10 to 15 years.